We all love single-player games with the wildest adventures, engaging stories, and electrifying combat. In this video, I am gonna mention some masterpiece games that are near perfect and can be considered 10 out of 10 masterpieces. Devil May Cry 5. This one is pure adrenaline. It's like stepping into an action movie where everything is cranked up to 11. First off, the combat is chef's kiss. You've got 3 playable characters, Dante, Nero, and V, and each one feels completely unique. Nero's got his badass Devil Breaker arms, Dante is just a walking arsenal of style with all his weapons and fighting styles, and V brings this whole summoner vibe with his demon companions. It's so satisfying figuring out how to chain combos and make every fight look like a scene out of an epic anime. It's got that classic over-the-top DMC vibe, but it's surprisingly emotional too. You start with this mysterious demon tree thing taking over Redgrave City, and the stakes just keep getting crazier. Plus, seeing how Nero and Dante's paths intertwine and the payoff when everything comes together is absolutely awesome. It's all slick, stylish, and polished to perfection. The RE engine really makes the characters look lifelike, but still keeps that gothic, high-energy DMC feel. Those tracks amp you up to just go nuts on enemies. DMC 5 is a love letter to the series, but it's also super approachable if you're new. It's got that perfect balance of challenge and fun. Whether you're button mashing your way through or trying to master those triple S ranks, it's just an absolute blast. It's one of those games where you finish a mission and immediately go back to see if you can do it better.
Well, that was a long time ago.
I guess you were young once too.
Hifi Rush. This game is an absolute blast, man. The whole game revolves around rhythm-based combat, which probably sounds like it could get repetitive, but nope, this game nails it. Every punch, dodge, and combo you pull off feels so satisfying when it syncs perfectly with the music. And speaking of music, the soundtrack. It's packed with tracks that'll have you bobbing your head while you're smacking enemies around. The visuals are like a playable Saturday morning cartoon. The art style is so clean and colorful, it feels alive, especially with how the environment pulses to the beat of the soundtrack. The humor is super quirky. The main character is a lovable dork with a guitar for a weapon. He's not your typical overpowered hero, he's just a chill dude caught up in a wild situation, which makes him super relatable. Honestly, boss fights are the real highlight. They're massive, over-the-top showdowns where the music and action come together perfectly. It's like being in a music video where you're the star and you're kicking some robot butt. You'll be pulling off some sick moves and feeling like a rock star. It's one of those games that just radiates fun with unique gameplay, a killer soundtrack, and a good laugh.
Let's rock, big boy.
The Last of Us Part 1. If you've played the original, the remake feels like stepping into that same world but in 4K with every tiny detail cranked up to 11. It's the same iconic story, Joel and Ellie's journey through this extreme post-apocalyptic world, but visually it's absolutely stunning. Like the lighting, the textures, even the freaking grass looks alive. It's not just polished, it feels like they rebuilt the game with modern tech. Especially if you've played Part 2. They've upgraded some of the combat, fluidity, and AI improvements, so it doesn't just feel like a straight-up graphical update. Enemies are smarter, they'll flank you more, and it makes those stealth moments way more intense. Ellie's expressions are even more real, which makes those emotional gut punches hit harder. And let's be real, The Last of Us has always been about its storytelling, and with the remake you can feel the heartbreak and tension in ways you didn't even know you missed in the original. It's kind of like revisiting an old favorite, but seeing it through a whole new lens. You still know every twist and turn, but the new graphics and gameplay tweaks make it feel like you're rediscovering the magic all over again. That being said, if you're not big on paying for what's essentially the same core game again, it might be worth waiting for a sale. But if you're a die-hard fan like me who's obsessed with the series, then you must try it out.
Watch my back.
Red Dead Redemption 2. RDR2 is one of the most immersive and detailed games I've ever played. It's not just a game, it's an experience where every frame is a painting. What's surprising is the storyline. It hits hard. Arthur Morgan is easily one of the best written characters in gaming. You start off as this loyal outlaw doing what needs to be done for the gang, but as the story unfolds, you see so many layers to him. Regret, redemption, loyalty, and betrayal. It's not just his story, it's about Dutch, the gang, and the slow death of the Wild West. Honestly, if we talk about the gameplay, then it's got everything you want. The attention to detail is insane. Hunting, fishing, gambling, robbing trains, there's so much to do that it's almost overwhelming in the best way. Even the smallest NPC interactions feel real, like they could turn into full side stories. And don't even get me started on the camp. Every character has their quirks, and the campfire conversations just make you feel like you're a part of something bigger. By the time the credits rolled, I was wrecked. It's not just about the action or the open world, it's about the emotional weight of Arthur's journey and how it ties into the first game. It makes you reflect on loyalty, morality, and what it means to make peace with your past. If you haven't played it yet, you're missing out on one of the best stories gaming has ever delivered. RDR2 is a masterpiece. Ghost of Tsushima. This game is an example of what it's like to experience a living samurai movie. Everything from the beautiful open world to the extreme combat gameplay, it all feels like an experience created with so much care. You start as Jin Sakai, this honor-bound samurai who's caught between sticking to his code and doing whatever it takes to save his home from the Mongol invasion. And trust me, that inner conflict hits hard as you play. Besides the gorgeous world, the combat is the second most satisfying feature. Switching between stances to counter different enemies feels fluid, and when you nail those perfectly timed parries, you feel unstoppable. It's like the game rewards patience and precision, which makes every fight feel personal. And don't even get me started on the stealth sections. Sneaking through Mongol camps and taking out enemies silently makes you feel like a total ghost. But you can also charge in sword ready and challenge enemies to those standoff duels. Those slow-mo moments before you strike are chef's kiss. Exploring Tsushima is honestly half the fun. Everywhere you go, there's something to discover. Maybe it's a hot spring where Jin reflects on his journey, a haiku spot where you create these peaceful little poems, or a deadly duel against a wandering samurai. Resident Evil 4 Remake. This one is a total masterpiece, especially if you're a fan of the original or just love survival horror done right. It's everything you remember, but with a modern twist that elevates it to a whole new level. From the moment you step into that creepy, foggy village, the atmosphere just grabs you by the neck and doesn't let go. Capcom really nailed it with the RE engine. You can practically feel the wetness of the environment, hear the crunch of gravel under Leon's boots, and every creak or distant growl makes you tense up. Also, Leon is just as cool and quippy as ever. His one-liners are back, but they don't feel cringy, they actually fit the darker tone. Pairing a chainsaw with a knife feels so ridiculously satisfying it's almost illegal. The combat itself is on another level. You're constantly managing ammo, resources, and enemies coming at you from every angle. The enemies are smarter now, they'll flank you, coordinate attacks, and force you to think on your feet. The shotgun is also an absolute beast. Blasting a mob of villagers and watching them ragdoll in slow motion never gets old. Ashley has been completely reworked too. No more babysitting her every second. She's more independent but still feels vulnerable enough to keep you invested in protecting her. It's a perfect balance. The horror is more psychological, with some scenes making you go crazy. The pacing is spot on, and even though they've added new areas and expanded certain parts, it doesn't feel bloated. Every moment is meaningful, the boss fights are insane. They're cinematic, challenging, and just plain fun. If you loved the original Resident Evil 4, this remake is everything you could have hoped for, and if you're new to it, it's the perfect way to experience one of the greatest games ever made. Honestly, this is Capcom firing on all cylinders. Marvel's Spider-Man 2018. The 2018 release is hands down one of the best superhero games I've ever played. From the moment you swing out into the city as Spider-Man, it's pure magic. It's so fluid and satisfying, like Insomniac nailed exactly what it should feel like to be Spidey. Flying through Manhattan, zipping between buildings, and diving off rooftops just to swing up at the last second never gets old. They absolutely nailed the sense of speed and momentum. The combat is another highlight. It's this mix of acrobatics, gadgets, and strategy where you feel like you're always dancing through enemies. You can yank weapons out of their hands, web them to walls, or launch them into the air. It's crazy fun and keeps you feeling totally awesome. Plus, you're constantly upgrading your skills and gadgets, which keeps things fresh. There are so many new skills that you're going to absolutely love. Everything looks like an overhaul of tech upgrades. Also, don't forget about the option of choosing your favorite outfit from a ton of available Spidey Day suits. Low-key, some of those suits are quite nostalgic as they remind us of old games, but beyond all that, it's just fun. Whether you're stopping a robbery, chasing down a runaway drone, or unlocking a new suit, the game never feels boring. It captures everything we love about Spider-Man. His heart, his humor, and his sense of responsibility. Easily one of the best Spider-Man games of all time, for me, honestly. God of War 4. This game takes everything you thought you knew about Kratos, grumpy, vengeful, chaotic, and flips it. Suddenly, he's a dad, and not just any dad, he's that dad, the one trying to raise his son, Atreus, while also wrestling with his brutal past. And let me tell you, the father-son dynamic is magical. You go from yelling at the kid to genuinely wanting to protect him, teach him, and understand him. It's so real it almost hurts. Honestly, the combat feels so weighty and satisfying, with every swing of the axe feeling like it packs a punch. And then there's the Blades of Chaos moment. They brought back that piece of Kratos' past in the most epic way possible. It was so satisfying to watch, as it gave us a lot of nostalgia. Those blades hold a lot of memories. Also, let's talk about the world. It's not just a normal open world, it's more like a big open playground with secrets and stories tucked into every corner. Exploring those side areas, solving puzzles, and fighting Valkyries, that's where the game really shines. And don't even get me started on the boss fights. They're so cinematic that you forget you're playing a game sometimes. Every hit, every dodge, it's just epic. But what really sticks is the story. It's this emotional, slow burn journey of redemption and learning how to let go of your past while preparing your kid for their future. For anyone who loves the thrill of extreme combat, with a nice touch of a good storyline, then this game is for you. Mass Effect 2. Easily one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and it took everything good about the first game and made it so much better. The story grabs you by the collar right from the start with a shocking opening sequence, and let me tell you, the squad is where this game shines. Every character is unique with deep backstories and loyalty missions that genuinely make you care about them. If we talk about the gameplay, then it's way smoother than the first game. They ditched the clunky inventory system, the combat feels snappier, and each class has powers that feel super satisfying to use. Biotics are especially fun. I could spend hours just throwing people around with Singularity. Don't even get me started on the cane. That thing is overkill in the best way. The choices are also pretty fun, and the conversation interrupters are great. Being able to instantly punch someone or talk them down in the middle of a conversation added so much intensity. Plus, your decisions from the first game actually matter here, and it feels like everything you do is built towards something huge. All in all, Mass Effect 2 is a legendary game with so much to experience. It's about building connections, making tough choices, and feeling like the galaxy's most badass commander.
Okay, we took him down, but this is getting tense. Shepard, if I tell you who we work for, will you trust me?
This really isn't the time, Jacob.
Sleeping Dogs. This is a pure underrated gem. It's not a clone of GTA, but in my opinion, it's so much better with many details and a lot of content. Plus, the parkour, or free running, is a nice addition. You're playing as an undercover cop infiltrating the triads, and the way it balances loyalty, betrayal, and just raw emotional moments is top tier. The characters feel real, like Jackie Ma. That dude is such a lovable idiot you can't help but feel bad for him. Now, about the combat, forget just shooting people, the hand-to-hand fights are where it's at. It's all about fluid counters, brutal environmental takedowns, and feeling like an absolute martial arts legend. The moment you slam a dude into an air conditioning unit or toss him into a fish tank, so satisfying. And let's not forget the driving. It's chaotic, it's fast, and it somehow makes you feel like you're starring in your own Hong Kong action flick. From the chaotic markets to the neon-lit streets, it feels like you're walking through a slice of Hong Kong. And the side activities are awesome, such as karaoke, street races, and collecting statues. Yes, it's the kind of stuff that makes you want to explore every corner of the map. Overall, the soundtrack, the fights, the story, the vibe, they all just click. If you've played it, you know it's one of those games you can't help but wish got a proper sequel. Max Payne. OG gamers, assemble. If you're someone who has played this game in your prime time, then I'm sure as hell this mention gave you quite a bit of nostalgia. Max Payne has one of the wider names. They even made a movie about it starring Mark Wahlberg. And honestly, the game deserves all the recognition and appreciation. Even now, in 2025, anyone can play it without worrying about graphics or textures and can have an all-out, amazing blast. The variety of weapons and the gameplay are what make this OG game different from the other title of its time. In fact, compared to some of the new games, Max Payne still holds up pretty nicely. Not many titles showed that iconic slow-mo feature like the way Max Payne did. The game's difficulty is no joke, so apparently they had to add something to balance out and shoot enemies in style. Low-key, after the initial levels, I'm sure as hell that you're going to die many times, because the game is literally hard even on the normal difficulty. Also, don't even get me started on the max difficulty. You'll literally die countless times while just trying to find some Momo or painkillers. All in all, I really hope that we get a remake really soon. I want more and more players to find out how awesome this game is. One of the best linear experiences with a lot of diversity. Infamous Second Son. Let's experience a world full of crazy, flashy powers, kinda like Prototype. Infamous is a decent game with so much to do. You're actually this cool dude who's got 4 crazy powers, and the good thing is that each of them is unique and looks totally awesome. There's neon, smoke, concrete, and finally video. To be honest, the game itself feels extremely satisfying and smooth. It's not a hardcore adventure with difficult enemies or environmental traps to pass through. Infamous is one of those games that you can play after a long, hard day at work. Pick up your controller, boot up the game, and then just explore the open world while flying around with your powers. What stands out is the karma feature. The game doesn't give you complete freedom. It actually provides you consequences of your choices. Even though you can wreak havoc with your powers, the game rewards you if you stay as the good guy. Generally, you will miss out on certain things, or specific outcomes will play out differently depending on whether you're on good karma or bad one. Therefore, it's essential to stay on one path. However, this is not a bad thing, as because of this, you can experience an entirely new story or outcomes in your second playthrough. So it all depends on the players on how you want it to play out your in-game experience. Anyways, make sure to own a PS4 or PS5, as Infamous is only available to play on PlayStation. Sadly, I hope it comes to PC in the future, though. Hogwarts Legacy. This is like a dream come true for any Harry Potter fan who's wanted to step into that magical world and really live it. It doesn't follow the main characters we know, but it gives you the chance to create your own wizard or witch. You get to roam around a beautifully recreated Hogwarts, with every corner of the castle and the grounds just oozing with that magical charm. The coolest part for me was the freedom. You can explore Hogwarts, Hogsmeade, and even some secret areas that are off the map in the books and films. The world is massive and just packed with details, things you can interact with, secrets to uncover, and side quests that really make you feel like you're a part of this living, breathing, magical world. The school itself is a mix of familiar areas like the Great Hall and the Forbidden Forest, with some new locations that are straight up awesome. Combat-wise, the magic system is super fun. You can throw spells around like you're in a wizard duel, but it's not just about casting one spell after another. There's this combo system that lets you chain together attacks for some cool effects, and there are a lot of different spells to master, some for offense, others for defense, and some that'll help you explore. You even get to customize your character's gear, which adds another layer of depth, but the game's not all about combat or spells. There's also a lot of charm in just hanging out at school, talking to classmates, and learning new things about the magical world. Overall, Hogwarts Legacy is like the closest thing to living the Harry Potter fantasy. The Witcher 3. This title needs no introduction. No one can call themselves a fan of RPGs without ever trying The Witcher 3. I know that there are some players who thought that the game is boring, or only the initial hours are slow-paced. However, there's no doubt in my mind that The Witcher 3 is a top-tier game that will be appreciated even for the next. Everything about this game is awesome, some of which are the massive, gorgeous open world, the charming characters, the immense number of side quests, an engaging storyline, 2 beautiful DLCs, and the fine gameplay. You can easily spend over 100 hours and still feel like you missed something. The combat is smooth and satisfying with a mix of swordplay and magic, but it's the atmosphere that stands out. From the foggy swamps of Velen to the snow-covered peaks of Skellige, every location has its own vibe. There are so many newer RPGs available to play, but they still never managed to create the fantastic experience that The Witcher did. Even the second part was pretty fun to play, however the third installment cranked up everything. Now, let's see what the developers have in store for the upcoming 4th installment. Playing Ciri is kind of sad, especially for players like us who had a great time messing around with Geralt, but still, let's see what happens. I just hope they make this title so much better that it will be played till the decade 8.
Waited until you found me, but well, you know me. Patience has never been my strong suit.
Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is one of those games that just feels like a full-on experience rather than just a game. It's got that perfect mix of deep story and wild side content that keeps you hooked from start to finish. This time there are two main characters, our top dog Kazuma Kiryu, a guy trying to climb the Yakuza ranks, and Goru Majima, the most over-the-top character you'll meet. Both are trying to navigate their own worlds, and the game dives into their stories with so much heart and emotion. What stands out in Yakuza 0 is how it blends intense crime drama with moments of absurd humor. One minute you're in the middle of a serious plot twist, and the next you're playing a cabaret club minigame or fighting off a bunch of thugs with a frickin' bicycle. Speaking of fights, the combat is so satisfying. You've got the option to switch fighting styles, each one feeling different. There's nothing like smashing your enemy's face into the sidewalk after a full combo. The world itself is a love letter to Tokyo and Osaka. The side content is endless, and trust me, you'll find yourself getting lost in random sub-stories or hustling through arcade games. Yakuza is a massive series with so much to choose from. Some of us love the OG ones, such as Kiwami or Zero, while others prefer the newer titles. However, there's no doubt that each game in the series is a blast, and super time consuming. You will be spending countless hours doing random stuff instead of the main quest. Therefore, Zero is a must play if you love open world games that balance narrative with offbeat fun. Metal Gear Rising's Revengeance. If you're into fast-paced, over-the-top action with awesome boss fights and a soundtrack that slaps harder than it has any right to, this one's for you. You play as Raiden, the same dude from Metal Gear Solid 2, but this time he's dialed up to 11 as a cyborg ninja slicing through enemies like butter with his katana. Forget stealth, this game is all about going full throttle into chaos. The combat is insanely satisfying. It's not just about button mashing, it's all about timing those parries and using blade mode where you can slow down time and cut literally anything into pieces. Like you can dismember a helicopter mid-air or slice a giant robot into sushi. The amount of control you have while slicing stuff is so extra but so fun. In my opinion, the boss battles are totally unreal. Each one is a spectacle on its own with unique designs and some of the wildest music tracks to ever grace a game. I'm still not over the fight with Senator Armstrong. The dude literally flexes his way through the rules of reality. The fight somehow works perfectly with the chaotic gameplay. Honestly, if you are in the mood for some games that do take themselves too seriously, then this one is a prime choice. Throughout the entire game, your only goal is to move forward in style while cutting through waves of enemies and machinery. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro is an absolute beast of a game. If you've played it, you know exactly what I mean. It's not just a game, it's a test of patience, reflexes, and pure willpower. From Software really outdid themselves with this one. The combat and the level designs are the major highlights. They are insane. It's all about timing, parrying, and that glorious clink-clink sound when you deflect an enemy's attack perfectly. Unlike Soulsborne games, there's no hiding behind a shield or spamming magic. You either face your enemies head-on or they'll humble you fast. That posture system is genius. You're not just wearing down their health, you're breaking their spirit, and when you finally land that death blow, it's chef's kiss. Moving on, let me shine some light on different levels or areas. The reason I love Sekiro the most is because the game takes you through various areas, and the surprising thing is that they are all connected to each other. You visit several places throughout your journey, such as Ashina Castle, Depths, Sunken Valley, Harada Estate, the Temple, and so much more. It's so good to experience such a masterpiece game while having the time of your life clearing each of these areas. Also, don't even get me started on the boss battles. Each one is crazier than the last one. The difficulty is no joke. If you're a newbie, then you will die over 1,000 times. Still, Sekiro is one of the best creations of From Software. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. This one is a perfect send-off to Nathan Drake's ultimate journey, and to make things better, we have our long-lost brother Sam to give us a hand along with some pretty well-written characters. As someone who had a great time finishing this title, I can say that it's crazy how well the game balances its story, gameplay, and visuals, and the story is so personal this time around, focusing on Nathan's relationship with his brother Sam and his struggle to leave his treasure hunting days behind. The way the story builds on Nate's past while showing his growth as a character is incredible. There's this constant tension between his desire for adventure and his love for Elena, and it just feels so real. You're not just playing a game, you're experiencing an emotional journey. It's classic Uncharted, but more refined. The grappling hook adds so much fun to the traversal and combat, making every encounter feel dynamic. I had to take a moment after the Jeep chase to appreciate how cinematic it all felt. It's like you're in an action movie, but you're the one calling the shots. The graphics are out of this world. Naughty Dog really outdid themselves here. And the little details, like Nate's clothes getting wet or muddy, or the banter between characters during gameplay, make it feel so immersive. Honestly, Uncharted 4 is one of those games that leaves a lasting impression.
You going? You're the one who said just head down. Gee, coming through.
Cyberpunk 2077. This one needs no introduction. Cyberpunk is a widely known title and players loved it, especially because of how futuristic an experience it really was. The world itself was full of sci-fi futuristic elements such as the lights, colors, tech features, skyscrapers, and high-tech security. And then there's the freedom of customization, which is a total mind-boggler. You get to add so many details to your character at the start of the game, and even during your playthrough you can add tech advances. Graphically and visually, Cyberpunk is a major spectacle to experience. Those textures and cutscenes look completely out of a cinematic movie. I'm sure as hell that there must be many times some of you guys have admired the beauty of the game rather than focusing on the gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, it's all about options. You want to sneak around like some stealthy netrunner hacking cameras and frying enemy cyberware? Go for it. Prefer to kick the door down and light everything up with guns and cyberblades? That's totally a vibe too. And the upgrades are crazy. You can turn yourself into a walking weapon with all the implants and gear you can stack onto V. That said, I won't lie, the game had its rocky start. It was full of bugs and glitch, but if you play it now, after all the updates, it's way more polished, plus the DLC adds more significant content. However, playing as Keanu Reeves is all you need to know about before booting up Cyberpunk. Just remember, Night City doesn't care about you. It's brutal, but that's what makes it so damn fun.
You one way or another. You hear?
Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is a freaking masterpiece. If you thought the first game was intense, this one takes everything to a whole new level. The story is totally mind-bending. You're juggling two perspectives, Alan, who's stuck in this nightmarish dark place, and Saga, a rookie FBI agent investigating some really twisted murders. The way their story intertwine is so slick, and it keeps you hooked because you're constantly questioning what's real and what's not. It's dark, creepy, and straight up oozes that Stephen King-inspired horror vibe. Walking through the forests and abandoned towns with the constant threat of shadowy figures lurking around is just nerve-wracking, and let me tell you, the lighting in this game is next level. The way they use light as both a weapon and a narrative tool is brilliant. Also, combat is tighter than before too. You're still relying on your flashlight to weaken enemies before blasting them, but now you've got more tools, better pacing, and that constant feeling of vulnerability. Ammo is scarce, so every fight feels like a life or death situation. It's not just about blasting your way through, you need to think, plan, and sometimes just run for your life. Honestly, what stands out is how Remedy does the storytelling. You've got these live action scenes mixed with gameplay, weird TV shows playing in the background, cryptic messages, and that signature Remedy weirdness. It's so layered, like a puzzle you're dying to solve, but it never feels like it's spoon-feeding you. You're piecing everything together, and when it clicks, it's so satisfying. Before I reveal my final pick, here are some honorable mentions. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Say goodbye. Hey! What did you do?
Far Cry 3. Elden Ring. Imagine a massive open-world version of Dark Souls, but cranked up to 11. From Software just went nuts with this one. You've got this mix of a world, the lands between, and every corner of it feels like it's hiding something. It could be a boss, a secret dungeon, or even just a little detailed story that ties the lore together. Speaking of bosses, bro, some of them are straight up nightmares, like the kind of fights that make you question your choices in life. But when you finally take one down, especially after dozens of failed attempts, that feeling is straight up awesome. It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's so rewarding you almost can't get mad. The freedom you have is insane. You can play however you want. Want to be a stealthy assassin? Go for it. Want to dual wield giant swords and smash through everything? Do it. Want to summon your spectral steed and run away like a coward? That's also possible. Speaking of magic, it's flashy as hell. Some of those spells feel like you're calling down the wrath of the gods themselves. The best part is that the game is fair. It sure is extremely difficult, but it still feels fair. If you die, you know, it's probably because you messed up, and when you overcome something, it's all on you. That's the kind of satisfaction this game offers. The vibe of Elden Ring is something special too. It's beautiful and bleak at the same time. You're this tarnished, a nobody in this ruined, mystical world trying to become the Elden Lord. The lore is deep, but you don't need to know all of it to enjoy the game. It's there if you want it, and piecing it together is kind of like its own adventure. Alright, this concludes our list of some of the wildest top 10 games that you must play. Each of these perfect 10 out of 10 single-player games has got something unique. Some contain open-world elements, while some are story-focused linear experiences. Some titles are easier, while others will take you over 100 tries just to kill the first main boss. Still, no matter what, I'm sure that you guys are going to enjoy each of these titles and will have a great time.